The Sports Source is brought to you by Fast Frame, with exciting Vol sports prints now available.
You are watching East Tennessee's first and only year-round sports talk show on television. This is The Sports Source with your host, John Pennington.
Welcome into the Sports Source. Glad to have you with us on this final football show of the year, well, until bowl season at least. A big win for Tennessee yesterday. They rout Vanderbilt, so much for the fact that those two teams had played close games over the last 10 years. It was not close yesterday as Tennessee wraps up an 8-4 season, 5-3 in the SEC. We'll talk about that. We'll take your Twitter questions. Lots of stuff to come in today's show. Let's get it started with this first segment brought to you by my friend Phil Cobble and his team at Phil Cobble Fine Homes and Land. Phil and his group handle property well over $1 million or all the way down to the average family's price range. Take this beautiful 4-bedroom home in Farragut, right in the popular Sedgefield subdivision, screened in, vaulted back porch, fenced in yard. That's a subdivision with a pool, tennis courts, nature trail. Get in touch with Phil Cobble and his group this week. You see the phone number, you see the website, Phil Cobble Fine Homes and Land. All right. Here is panel number one for the day. We got Bob Hodge, we've got VFL Will Overstreet, Jimmy Himes, and VFL Jacob Gillum down there. Guys, I said last week that you're starting to see more and more of these turning points. When you look at the numbers, well, it's the first time since this, first time since that, and they're positive instead of negative for you. It's been a lot of negatives in the last few years. Let me give you, after Tennessee's 53-28 win over Vandy yesterday, let's look at some of these reversal of fortune notes, all right? 7th most total yards in UT history on the season. 5th most points in UT history for the season. 4th most rushing yards in UT history for the season. First time above 500 in SEC play since 2007. First 8-win regular season since 2007. First 5-game win streak since 2007. Most rushing yards versus an SEC foe, that's yesterday, since 1994. Most points versus an SEC foe, yesterday, since 2003. And the highest average attendance since 2008. Gentlemen, I said 7-5. I dared them to prove me wrong. They did. Pass the crow. That was a pretty good win yesterday. First, your thoughts on that, and then second, the turnaround you're starting to see in the program.
Oh, I think that the turnaround is not amazing, but is steady. The curve's definitely going up. And I think if you can't be a Tennessee fan that's happy this morning with where your program is going.
Don't get ahead of yourself now.
I'm not. Well, I was. But
I was. I had to draw the brakes.
You just look at what they've done the last few games, and it's been against good halves of competition. Both Missouri and Vanderbilt had really good defenses. Tennessee went out there, and I think their offense has proven you're a much better offense now than you were.
All right. Guys, thoughts on yesterday's game and or the turnaround overall?
I mean, just the offense was dominant yesterday. I mean, you can't look at them and not say that they weren't. And they were going up against a really good defense, and they were pretty much able to do whatever they wanted at any point in time in that game, and it looked easy to them. And so for me, that just shows the improvement. And I think one of the biggest things we've talked about all year is when have we seen this Tennessee team or been able to say about this Tennessee team in the last few years, they're able to play down to their competition and still beat them. And they know they can beat them. This team has improved a lot over this year. It's improved in the defense. After the Alabama game, the pass rush all of a sudden became a part of the team. I think there's several areas, and there are more areas you could see that this team has gotten better this year. I think the coaching staff has improved what they did this year, learned how to do that.
We're now jumping into segment 2.
Okay. There you go.
You guys produce it from now on.
Opening statement.
All right, Jimmy, I'll let you get your thoughts on the Vanderbilt game, but I thought, once again, you were able to see the full course of Josh Dobbs. He was able to run, which helps your offense. He hit open guys for touchdowns. Vaughn Pearson, that helps your offense. I thought yesterday was one of those games where you say, yeah, that's the quarterback. That's the one you need.
That guy can help you win the East Division of the SEC. And when he hits a few passes, and look, he's not going to hit 75% of the game, but if he hits a few passes and runs like he did, you had 3 guys that ran for over 90 yards. You ran for 331 yards against one of the best run defenses in the SEC. I thought it was incredible what they did on offense. They had the first 10 possessions. Tennessee gets 5 touchdowns, 3 field goals, and they make it to the 1-yard line. They had 1 punt. That's pretty efficient against good defense.
Yeah, but I didn't like the play calling on the one they didn't. All right, I didn't, but that's all right. Your point is a very good one. That's a pretty good day at the office. And also, we got a question later in the show, so don't answer it, guys. But a Twitter question about Mike DeBoard and the grade he deserves for this year. And the Twitterer doesn't think it's a very good one. I think you look at those numbers, I don't see how you grade him too far down when you see all that this offense has done. Jacob Gillum, he had 18 guys yesterday, according to UT, that I didn't count it. Yeah, 18 guys made their last walk through the tee, in Kurt Magid's case, had their last run through the tee, all that kind of stuff. Magid may come back, but it looks like these guys are gone. Not a ton of big-time contributors in there. I mean, the driving engine on this team has been the youth, that sophomore class. But that said, those guys who are going out seniors, Butch talked about Team 117 will always be the team that got us started. Team 118 took a step forward. This Team 119 and those guys that left yesterday, they have seen a major change in the program talent, direction, confidence. You were over there last year. Give me your take on the overall change in this program.
I think, what Butch says about 117 starting it and 118 kind of building on it. 119 is where you've seen the results on paper and you've seen the results in the win column of where all of this has been building up to since Butch's first year. We're finally winning as a team. You have the offense, special teams, and defense all blowing everyone out. I mean, this is kind of the first game all year that we've had a true team win where special teams contributes, offense contributes, defense contributes, and we just blow an opponent out. And I think that's the turning point that you've been looking for in this team, and that's something that we struggled to do last year a little bit. We could never get everybody on the same page. So now you've finally seen that at the end of this year, and I look for more of that next year.
Guys, let me ask you this one. You started down this road, so I'll start with you. Will folks be happy with an 8-4 season, or will there be more folks unhappy about missed opportunities?
I think people, until you get to about signing day, and they're rolling into spring practice, people are going to be upset about the missed opportunities. Of course, the bowl game result will have a whole lot to do with that. But, I mean, you look back at it, you could be playing next week in Atlanta if you just have a couple of breaks.
If Will Greer gets caught for PEDs a little earlier.
But I think overall, once it's settled down and this season is in the rearview mirror, I think people are going to be fairly happy. I think in the short term, it's very easy to dwell on the games that you let get away right now because you're sitting there and you're looking, well, you got guys going to the SEC championship game. That could have been us if you hit another field goal.
Yeah.
So I think for right now, that carries the day.
Well, we all said, Jacob, you weren't here, but I think the rest of us all said 7 or 8 wins, 7.5. So when you look at 5 wins, then 6 wins, then 8 regular season wins, it's progress. Are they going to be happy? Are they going to be looking at ruining the missed opportunities?
I think the group that's always going to be unhappy and always looking for a new coach is going to be unhappy. I think the rest of the Vol Nation will be happy with this result because I think, besides at the very end, what always happens before a season, the last 3 weeks where the two or three more wins get added on, I think the rest of the group kind of thought during spring practice and everything, if they'd asked them at the end of the year after the bowl game, what do you think this team's going to be? 7-8 win team, maybe 9, was about the range that most normal people thought this team was going to be. So I think most people are going to be happy.
Excellent use of the word
normal. Yeah, I picked up on that one. John, based on the calls we've had, I think the majority of fans are satisfied with an 8-win season, but a majority can be 51%. Okay,
Right.
But the majority is okay with 8 wins. I'm hearing a little bit of angst though about how close they came to being able to play for the SEC championship, and a little bit about where recruiting is. Tennessee's ranked about number 22 in recruiting right now. But overall, based on the calls we've had and the interaction I've had with some fans, they feel good about the 8 wins, and now next year you got to improve on that.
Yeah, and I think most of us went into this year saying, tap the brakes. Next year was always kind of the estimated time of arrival. Mm-hmm. I think that is still the case next year, and I think next year, I know that as I look at it, I'm going to be a little bit more critical because I think you're going to have the talent and the depth there. There's not a lot of excuses left at that point. Jacob, your final thoughts here on the 8 wins, good enough, or upset that they didn't win 10 or 11?
My prediction personally this year was 8 wins, 8-4. And
an honest player, wow.
Yeah. That's where I thought
You and Will.
That's where I thought the team was at, and I was never going to predict them to lose, but I thought there were some losses in there. So I feel like that you got to be happy with what's happened this year. I mean, you've seen a major turnaround, like I said, and the whole team playing together. And next year you're going to look to upgrade those wins a little bit. You're going to upgrade. You're going to see more made field goals. Florida. You're going to see finished games. I mean, you're going to see some of those close losses we had this year. I'm just happy that we didn't get blown out by anybody. We played everybody close. We were in every single game. That's what really is, kind of made me look so upside of this
had a lead in every game.
And that makes it sting a little bit more, too, those losses. I think sometimes it's easier to accept, we just couldn't be on the field with them.
Right.
Whereas a couple of plays here and there and you win those games. So I think that makes it a little bit tougher
if you're
to take some
We've
of
had
those
that
losses.
debate on the show before. Is it better to get blown out or lose a close one? That may be an off-season debate as well. I heard some grumbles over here. The 12-0 club is going to be really upset with me saying the honest players out here. All right, when we come back, by the way, send us your questions. You see my Twitter handle right there on the screen. I should just do the whole segment looking down at the monitor. You see my Twitter feed right there and the website. We'll do the overtime segment later today online, so be sure to check in there. Send us your questions now. Our VFL panel will answer them later in the show and in overtime. Come on back. We're going to ask the question that Will wanted to answer this time. Did Tennessee improve, or was it a product of easier schedule at the end of the year? We'll discuss. Come on back on the Sports Source.